How you doing, y'all? Welcome to Confidence. On today's episode, we're going to be tackling the fear of rejection. We're going to be talking about how people have their guard up when it comes to dating. We're going to talk about all the different ways that people have their guard up. And then we're going to get into, why the fear of rejection is a self-fulfilling prophecy, and then how we can take steps to try to reverse that. And I think this is such a big topic in dating right now. Because I think this is what happened in the modern dating landscape. I feel like this is really what has happened is everybody is just fucking scared. Like I know that like back in the day, it was like, oh, everybody just thinks they have so many different options. And that's why dating is so difficult. Like I disagree. It's weird. I feel like I have the least amount of options I've ever had, to keep it real. Because I think as I get older, my standards start to rise. I know myself more, and what I'm recognizing is like what I'm looking for becomes more specific. And again, and not in like I don't want this, like, here's the thing. I want to be open to, multiple possibilities and every type of energy, right? Because I think it is a lot of energy. But again, what I'm really talking about is like, you got to have a lot of shit that's aligned, right? Like your life goals, the things that you're chasing in chasing your life, your dreams, your values. There's a lot that you want in alignment. I think for a relationship to really work, right? It's nice to have chemistry with somebody, but it's another thing when, your values align, your future plans align. And again, I actually think it's harder than ever to kind of find somebody that kind of fulfills all those different things. So I guess my whole point is, I think the reason that dating is getting so difficult though, is a lot of people, we are just scared of rejection. We are scared of looking bad, being embarrassed, being turned down. No one is taking chances. Really. And honestly, I think I read an article the other day about how Americans are staying inside and are alone more than ever in the history of time. So, and that's what I'm trying to say is that I really do feel that way. It feels that way when it comes to dating. Everybody has pushed this hyper-individualism. You know what I'm saying? No one wants to take risks. No one wants to be the one that puts their heart out there, because also too, I think most people that feel that when they do put their heart out there, it's almost, it looks bad or it gets taken for granted, right? Because that's the thing is you don't want to do all that and then it just not be, reciprocated, or you just don't want to come off looking needy, or you don't want to come off looking a certain way. So everybody does what? What do? We just sit behind our social media. We hang out by ourselves all day. We post a fucking story, and then we hope that something is going to happen. We hope that we're going to meet the love of our life somehow. And I think that's a modern dating right now. Again, the illusion of options, I don't really think is a thing. I don't think it's a thing. Yes, you could have a lot of, I think we live in an attention society. A lot of people get a lot of attention, but no one actually gets a lot of intentional connection. And there's a massive difference between those two. When was the last time you met somebody and just off the rip, down to commune? I don't even know what that is. Commune, hang out. You know what I'm saying? Be in each other's lives, cook dinner and have them over your house. We don't do shit like that. We just don't. We don't just meet up and gather. We exchange phone numbers or an Instagram. All right, dude, I'll see you online. You know what I'm saying? A lot of my friends, it's most of the shit I see from them is just their fucking story, and everybody's hanging out by them goddamn selves. But again, to this point, I think that what we need to do is take responsibility for creating more connection in our lives. And I think the way that we do that is we need to really lean back into and overcome the fear of rejection. We got to come more together, but it starts with you taking responsibility for taking that risk. And it's not easy. It really is not. I understand it, because what happens is, I think if sometimes when we take a risk in dating, and it doesn't work out, a lot of people we get knocked down for a little while. I have one client who when she goes through a breakup, she told me, she's I'm just not good for weeks or months. You know what I'm saying? After a breakup, she's no, I'm out of commission for weeks and months. And I think that is the problem, right? Is everybody is so scared of that resulting pain that comes from rejection because they have this, they just feel like it's going to last forever. And it's going to derail them entirely. So what do? We just avoid this shit entirely. Again, this is why everybody's got the guard up, is because we don't want to experience that pain. We don't want to, knock down ourselves or get thrown off our path. And again, I understand that part, but it's almost like we got to build a way to be able to take risks and chances and not make it about ourselves. And that's going to be one of the solutions when we get to, talking about how do we overcome the fear of rejection. So, but let's get into it. What we're going to do is we're going to be talking about, some of the ways that we have our guard up. So these are going to be all the things that, again, that you might relate to in terms of how would I say it? Yeah, you might not be putting yourself out there effectively enough. As much as you might think that you are, you might not. And I do want to preface this as well, right? We do have our guard up in this society and we do need to take it slow. And I do feel that there's a lot of people when it comes to dating, me included, that when you do meet somebody, the intensity is there very quickly. We do need to understand and preface this that, relationships take time to build. They really do. Take your time, right? Like trust takes time to build. Relationships just take time. You can't force somebody to just be in your life immediately. And sometimes we do have this ridiculous standard of how much somebody should be texting us or how much involvement they should give us from the jump. And my whole thing is there does need to be a period of time in which, we start to figure each other out, right? That's the thing is we don't know what the other person's boundaries are until we start getting into it. Some people like to text a lot. Some people don't like to text at all. You just got to take your time to feel those things out. Sometimes what you might see as a lack of effort really just might be that person's fear. Really, because again, we're going to go through these things right now and you're going to recognize and you're probably going to relate to a lot of these, but then you're going to realize that a lot of the people that you're probably dating also are feeling these ways. And I want you to just keep that in mind. But let's talk about some of the guards that we might have. So the first one is just this idea that almost you treat your relationship life or your dating life like nothing matters. I made a video about women are not really nonchalant. They just are scared of being chalant. And I think it's true for both sides though too, which is, again, these people that just act like they're just so detached and, oh my God, nothing matters. I'm just chilling, whatever happens, happens. And don't get me wrong. I love the mindset of detachment. I think it's really great. But at the same time, it's if you are constantly just acting like none of it matters, I feel like what happens is you never actually put any skin in the game. You don't actually try, because any single time that somebody kind of just again, doesn't provide any sort of energy on their side because you're quote unquote so detached and you just don't care, are you going to be willing to put in any effort? Probably not. Because here's the thing, you could be detached, right, when it comes to dating, but I think if you're truly detached, you would have no problem actually reaching out or making a move or accepting somebody's energy because you would be detached to the actual result of it. But there's a lot of people that act like nothing matters, but they actually don't even take any action. And I think that to me is where we might have a little bit of the guard up. And here's really the big one. And this happens so much in dating. I actually just coached some girl yesterday about this. But you're too afraid to ask for what you want. A date, a phone call, or even just a behavior that you don't really like. You're dating somebody, they're doing something, and you don't love it. For instance, let's say you're dating somebody and they are actually just out of nowhere, they start being a little bit distant. They go on vacation, they do something, and you can start to tell that the energy starts to go down. Now, for most people, what do, right? You're oh, well, I could just tell that their energy is going down. So what are we going to do? We're going to fucking match energy. Right? Instead of actually addressing the issue and saying, hey, I just wanted to understand, I kind of feel weird about this lack of energy. Can you just tell me if there's something that's going on? being direct about what it is that you're seeing or observing. I know that it sounds like cringy almost. Like for a lot of people, they're like, why would I ever ask that? If I could see it, then I just know it. But again, you not having that communication, there's no problem getting solved there. And then what? Then you have to what? Match energy for the rest of the time? Now what? It turns into a cat and mouse game. And really what it is your inability to communicate and ask for what you need. I mean, this is in all elements. This is why people get stuck in situationships. Clearly, is because you are so afraid, again, of probably rejection or not being good enough or being abandoned. So instead of asking for more commitment from somebody or asking them, hey, like intentionally, I really like you. Like, is this something that you are willing to take serious? Is this something that we're on the path to? I mean, we are so afraid to have that conversation with people, but ultimately what ends up happening? You never end up getting your needs met. And then you're accepting a relationship that you do not want. To me, this is the biggest indication of fear of rejection, is you not being able to speak up and express what you need. And again, even on a micro level, right? Like think about it from the element of you're in the wild, you're at a coffee shop and you see somebody attractive. If you see somebody attractive, what is it? Express yourself. Yo, hey, I think you're really cool. I really like your glasses. I saw you were working here. I just wanted to talk to you for a little bit. You just expressed yourself. You intentionally, you knew that you wanted to create that connection with somebody and you spoke up. But again, most people, what do? We don't say anything, right? And again, it's just a fear of rejection. And even for like somebody that you just met that's new, let's say then you get their number, right? Ask them for the date. Ask them to go out. Ask them to do something. But again, most of the time we feel this aversion to do that because we don't want to get rejected, but you ultimately don't get what you want then. And that's what I'm trying to say is like, you don't recognize that like by you not saying what it is that you need and what you want. And again, you're not dumb for wanting a connection with somebody. You're not dumb for wanting to go on a date with somebody. You're not wrong for wanting somebody's attention. You're not. But you have to use your words. You have to communicate those things to people. You cannot just assume that they understand what you want. And it's so much more confident when you just directly say the things that you want, right? Even for me, I catch myself in this position sometimes where like, I'm texting a girl and maybe she's not giving me the most, right? Energy, whatever. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, whoa. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, whoa, I take a step back. I'm like, whoa. Maybe I can't say what I need to say. Like I do want to talk to her on the phone, or, hey, I do want to like go on a date, but you know what? Pick up the phone. I tell myself, pick up the phone, just call them. What are they going to do? Not answer? Okay. Then what? Now I know, and again, that is it really that fear of that moment of fucking getting rejected that is so strong that I can't ask for what I need, that I can't make a phone call. Yeah, I should be able to randomly FaceTime anybody that I want. And if you don't fucking like it, I mean, it is what it is. And again, I understand we don't want to come off of obsessive, but is it obsessive to, again, text somebody or make a phone call? If you do those things, do it one time. And if they respond well, great. And if they don't, leave it. Okay, cool. I shot my shot. I made the move. I took the step. At least you did the thing. At least you said what you needed to say. We really got to start speaking up. And again, just whatever it is that you need, guess what? It's important. If you want it, you can get it. That's how it is. If you want it, you can get it. That's what this world is about. Okay. You agree to relationships you don't really want, such as keeping it casual, right? Like, again, there's people that you meet that they're like, cool. And then what? They kind of tell you that they're not ready for something. And instead of just saying to yourself, no, I'm ready for something real, or, hey, I like you more than just casual, you say, well, because they don't want that right now, then I'll just hang around. I'll just be their friend. I'll accept a relationship that I don't really want just because what? I don't feel like I'm going to get my needs met here or from somewhere else, to be honest, right? Or I'm just afraid that, I won't find what I'm looking for elsewhere. That's really what it comes down to. I mean, are they that fucking cool that they're worth being in a relationship that you don't even want? This is what I'll never understand. Like, if I want commitment, I'm not settling for less. Sorry. And again, there's a difference between somebody telling you, hey, I need some time, and, I do really like you and I'm interested, but I need some time. Way different. But again, if they're telling you that they're not ready for a relationship, and you've been talking for a little while, or, let's just say hypothetically, I've also seen this too with a lot of the women that I coach. A guy will just pretty much tell them that, pretty quickly, almost up front, first date or two, I'm not really sure where I'm at with this. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm really ready for something real. I'm looking for something kind of casual. And then the girl will agree to just be his friend. Oh, okay, well then, we just don't have to do anything and we could just be cool. We could just be friends. I mean, be honest with yourself. What is that about? Are you really looking for their friendship? Again, think about your own fucking needs for 2 seconds. Because that's where a lot of people, you don't think about yourself. That's what's crazy, is a lot of people date and they do not think about themselves because the whole time they're thinking about how to get somebody to stick around. That is not the strategy. The strategy should be, what do I need and what do I want in a relationship? What does that look like? Define that for myself. Commitment. It looks like reliability. It looks like predictability. It looks like good fucking dick. It looks like good sex. You know what I'm saying? It looks like, spending 3 days a week together. What does it look like? And guess what? Anybody that doesn't meet that, deuce a loose. And again, not in an abrasive way. You're not wrong for, somebody turning around saying that they want casual, they don't want anything serious. You're not wrong for being like, okay, well, this isn't going to work out. I appreciate you. I think you're dope. But why waste your time accepting a relationship that you don't really want? It doesn't change a person's mind. What actually changes a person's mind, if you really want them to, is by you sticking to what it is that you value. Why do you think that they are getting you to turn into the relationship that they want? Is because they are unwilling to change what they value. That's the difference between them and you. Is they are telling you up front what they value. They are telling you the type of relationship that you want. And think about this. This is, I call it a game of self-worth and self-belief. Because if they share that and then you accept that, there's a dick and a swallower. You know what I'm saying? True. And now if you have two dicks that interact, right? What happens? Hey, I want casual. Oh, I want a commitment relationship. Okay, this doesn't work. Goodbye. See you later. But then if you're the person that's so afraid of not finding what it is that they want, or they're fearing rejection, I'm not going to go look elsewhere for something different because I'm scared that I'm not going to find it, or I'm just going to accept the relationship that you want because I'm a people-pleasing little bitch. Just to keep it real. And I just don't want that to be you, because you don't need that. Because that's what I'm trying to say is in this world, you could create whatever you want. A beautiful relationship, a great income. But you need to believe that it's out there and you cannot let fear drive you. So some other guards. You hide parts of yourself that are important to you. This is a big one. And I see this a lot, just even on a micro level. I'm going to be honest. There is one thing that I never really talked about back in the day with the long distance thing that really bugged me. And this is what I would like to call somebody yucking your yum. And I don't like this. And this is one of those moments I should have known that there was a misalignment. And honestly, I think back to this moment and I'm like, in a little bit of a ways, I was pleasing a lot. And I didn't recognize it until I took some time away and stepped back. But there was a few times that I drove this girl to work. I woke up really early one day. She was a nurse, right? So, she has a 7 a.m. shift or whatever it is. So we wake up at 5 o'clock. I drive her to work, right? And in the morning I'm putting on, I remember I put this song on that I really like. It's a little vibey electronic song and it's real, good vibes. I just, for some reason I was bopping to it. And I turned the volume up a little bit and she just looks over at me and just Can you just like turn this shit off? I was like, whoa. You know what I'm saying? Like in that moment, like it hit me. I was like, Chris, this isn't it. You know, like even if you don't like something, like that's the thing too. It's like she always like played like country music when we were hanging out. And that's the thing too. It's like she always was the person that was like owning the music, which is fine because it is what to me, I don't really care. We're sitting there, we're talking. But like I don't really love country, but I accepted it and vibed with it because you did. You know, it's like I sat there and listened to it because I knew you enjoyed it. And I like seeing you happy. And if you are with a partner where if you share something about yourself, like a weird side of yourself, a song that you like, a video that you like, or just anything about yourself, and they criticize you for it, or they put you down for it, or they judge you for it, fuck that person, for real. That's not the person that needs to be in your life. Just because how are they going to shun who you are? And then if you are willing to accept that, and just like let it go, you're pleasing. You're pleasing. And again, for me, like that, like I said, for me, in a lot of ways, like in that relationship, I think there was a little bit of moments like that. And it's very strange for me to look back and think about it like that. But there are a lot of times where I was just like, that's very off-putting. That like, yes, there was a lot of times I felt accepted, but there was also a lot of times where I did feel like I had to hide a little bit of me, right? Like my more goofier side. My music, like things that really to me like light me the fuck up. Like you guys see me on my story. Like that's my shit. Even if it is noises and bullshit to you, you know, don't fucking yuck my yum. That to me is a very off-putting quality. But again, in dating, you need to recognize that for yourself. If you're hanging out with a new person and your beliefs or, you know, your opinions or the things that you care about, you're sharing those things openly and honestly. And again, they're shitting on them. Number one, don't ever stop sharing those things. But number two, I think you need to set a fucking boundary with that person. It's not time to shut your mouth. It's not time to just hide that part of you. It's time to get a new person. To be real, that's what really needs to happen. But yeah, if you find yourself hiding parts of yourself, fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, clear as day. And this is interesting. And this is a tough one. So this is also about having your wall. This is called a wall of humor, but everything is a joke or everything is so sarcastic. You know, this is one I really had to work on a little bit, and I still do to this day. I think I really do use humor as a wall, right? Because if I'm just sarcastic and everything is just a joke, it doesn't feel like real rejection. Right? Let's say I send a text message or my chatting with them is just BS. It's bullshit. If they stop answering me, I don't care because I'm like, oh, well, I'm just being sarcastic. They didn't get it. Or, oh, you know, I'm just fucking around, right? It doesn't matter. And what I've recognized is that I'm not being very intentional with my words. I'm not being very intentional about the things that I'm saying or what I actually want. I'm constantly using sarcasm as a way to defend or deflect from really being vulnerable. That's really what it is. If everything's just a ha-ha, he fucking joke to you, which is fine because we like playfulness, right? But on the other end, if that's all it is, more than likely you're hiding yourself. You're not being really authentic. I understand it's fun to fuck around. And trust me, I'm the first one. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying the dumbest shit. You bet your bottom dollar. But at the same time, too, there comes a time where you have to honestly be literal sometimes. You have to be direct sometimes. And that's something that I've been working on when I've been like chatting with girls or like talking to girls more recently in my life is like, there's a lot of times where I'll type out a joke and I'm like, oh, okay, Chris, just be serious for like 2 seconds. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, you know, cut it out, right? Like there needs to be times where like you are just being direct. It can't always be a fucking joke because again, what you're doing is you're really just defending yourself from your own vulnerability. We got to be honest about the ways that we feel. And sometimes it can be a little annoying when you're showing up and you're doing that because people don't feel like they get to know you. right? You can't get to know the person that's always fucking around. That's a lot of feedback that I get from women all the time is that it's like, I can't read you. I don't know what's happening because everything is just super dry. And there's some people that get the sarcasm and it works a little bit better. So I do like that part. But at the same time too, you got to find a balance with that. It can't just always be that. Another wall you have, and this is a good one. You have someone on the back burner or multiple people on the back burner to soften the blow. So you might actually have a fear of rejection or a fear of abandonment. And what you might do is keep people around just for their attention and validation. Because if somebody actually hurts you or somebody that you really care about, again, dismisses you, at least you have some other people to fucking rely on for some attention. And honestly, I'm gonna be real, right? So at the beginning of this year, I was like, I'm a slut. You know what I'm saying? Like I was like talking to some people, yo, I am down to zero again. I'm down to zero again. And not because of this, but just because I recognize that, like, you know, I know what it is that I'm looking for. I know what I want. I know when somebody doesn't fit that, right? And what's the purpose of keeping somebody around that is not it, especially if you want commitment. And to me, the only reason that you'd keep somebody around that's not your person is strictly for ego, is strictly for validation. And it's unfair to them because most of the time, you know that they want something deeper. And again, I'm not saying you can't create connections and talk to people. It's not that. It's just that when you know somebody is not it, how long are you going to string them along? And for what? Because you need some attention and validation that you're enough? I mean, that's the thing is like, more than likely, if that's what you've been doing, and especially your whole life, if you always have people on the roster because you just cannot give yourself your own self-validation, more than likely you are going to struggle in relationships because it's always going to be reliant on other people for your worthiness. I truly believe that. When you got tons of people on the back burner all the time, what I really see with that is that you really have an inability to hold good boundaries. I find those two things to be to coincide. Just to keep it real, like I coach a lot of clients that, again, they're in a relationship with somebody that is not treating them right, but at least it's something, right? At least it's some bit of attention. At least it's sex, or at least it's this. But if, again, you are not proving to yourself that you have any worthiness because you can't hold a boundary with that person. And again, more than likely, what ends up happening is this. Instead of actually ending the relationship and being in a place where you don't have that attention, you hold on to those people until you find somebody different. But then what happens is the problem just switches. You're like a leech. You're like a leech. You go from one host to the next host. You're not actually grounded within yourself. You don't actually have self-trust. Because all of your self-trust and all of your self-acceptance comes from these bullshit relationships. And then you're expecting to find something real, but you have nothing to stand on. Because when things get hard with the new person, you're just going to go right back to not having any fucking boundaries. That's what's going to happen. Because again, you haven't built that for yourself yet. So again, what happens is a lot, and I see this a lot of my coachees, my clients, where again, they'll go from guy to guy. They'll be serial monogamous. They always have somebody on the burner and they jump to the next person. The next person treats them right for 3-4 months. And then the next person's poor patterns comes out. And then because they left the other person, now they only have this new one and they can't fucking set a boundary. Because they're afraid of being abandoned. The whole time you are avoiding the work that needs to be done. The work that needs to be done is overcoming that fear of abandonment, is overcoming that fear of rejection. You overcome that fear of rejection by actually taking the risk and leaving those people that are not aligned with you. So my whole thing is if you got a ton of people on the back burner, just really ask yourself, what is this about? Is it about my validation, or do I really care about them like that? Am I upkeeping something, or am I just texting them when I'm feeling bad about myself? Because to be honest, number one, again, I just personally think it's fucked up. But the second thing is you're only shooting yourself in the foot by doing that. You think that you're not, but you really are. And I hope that I just explained why. Here's another one. You guys are loving it so far. I fucking know it. You have 1 foot in and 1 foot out of every relationship that you're in. Now, again, having an element of detachment at the beginning, I think is important, right? You're meeting somebody new. You've taken the time to get them. Yes, anything can happen. But if you are constantly in relationships where you are ready to fucking leave at every single sign of instability or inconsistency, to me, sometimes we're not giving things a real chance either, right? And again, this goes back to, I think originally when we were talking about, asking for the things that you need. I find that the people that are 1 foot in, 1 foot out of a lot of their relationships, what happens is something doesn't go right. And again, instead of trying to communicate the things that they feel like they need, which is, again, to me, should be the logical first step in every relationship, you then will just be like, okay, well, it's not working. I got to go. Hey, this isn't it. Peace out. But the whole time, you never even gained the chance to actually, repair or fix the thing that you felt like you needed. And again, a lot of the times, these people don't know what it is that you need. And then again, they have a bad moment. I'll give you an example. Actually, one of my clients set a really good boundary or did this in her dating life, and it actually worked out. She was talking to this new guy, and at the, when we started working together, she's been getting over this guy that had abandoned her. So she's been on her own. She met a new guy and pretty much told her, hey, listen, I'm going through a little bit of a process right now. I need to go really slow. I need to take my time. They haven't kissed. They're just friends, whatever it is. So they've been texting for a little while. He, out of nowhere, he goes on this vacation and he starts getting distant from the girl that I'm coaching. The girl that I'm coaching sends him a text message to say, hey, I'm just going to be really honest. I'm feeling a little anxious. I feel like I haven't heard from you as much. It feels different than what it was before. I just wanted to let you know that I'm feeling that way. Homie turned around and was just like, hey, thanks for telling me that. I didn't realize that was happening. And then started to text her more and been way more consistent ever since she sent that message. And again, I know that for a lot of people, you're like, well, if I ever say something like that, they're just going to leave me. Well, they don't fucking care about you that much then. Why are you avoiding the truth? For what? And again, because your own fear of being abandoned is keeping you stuck. But the other flip side of the coin is something goes down, you speak up for what you need. If homie turns around and it just continues to be dismissive, you got your answer. And that's what I'm trying to tell you guys about this too, is you will actually have so much more success because all you're going to do is find the people that actually do want to meet your needs. And the other thing too is what you don't recognize is that a lot of the other people that you're dating also have a fear of rejection. They also have a fear of abandonment. A lot of the times it's not just them being dismissive and they suck. There's a lot of times where a lot of people, again, just have that fear. I know there's a lot of guys, and especially in this situation, right? You told this guy that you weren't necessarily ready and that you needed some time. Part of him probably feels a little bit of I don't really know. You know what I'm saying? I'm down for that, but how much attention should I really give you? And then by her speaking up and saying that, he now has an avenue to say, oh no, okay, she wants consistent communication. But if I'm a guy, right, and I'm feeling this from this girl where she's told me that she needs to go slow, and I'm on vacation, I might not text that much. You know what I'm saying? Just keep it real, right? Because I'm doing my thing and it is what it is. But if she turned around and she told me that and I actually cared about the relationship, I would turn around and say, oh, okay, no problem. I'll update you a little bit more than I have. Sorry about that. And you get what I'm saying? You got to speak up. And again, you can't be half in, half out. Throw your feet in there. You know what I'm saying? Take the risk. All right. This one's my favorite. Another wall or sign, you might have fear of rejection, is you always assume the worst. You always assume that they're doing some crazy shit. And again, it's very easy to get into that mindset. I get it. Trust me. Fear runs rampant in this fucking world. That's what it is. It's all fucking fear. And I'm like this too, where I'm like, oh, well, if they didn't say yes to my request or they didn't do the thing that I wanted, they must not like me that much. They must not love me. I come on here a lot and I talk about how, your intuition is powerful and sometimes their energy is off and sometimes you have to recognize that for what it is. And don't get me wrong, there's definitely some validity to it. But I guess what I'm really trying to say is if you're feeling off energy, why not, instead of just not saying anything, speak up and say something, right? Don't assume the worst. Assume, and this is a really weird mindset shift that I've been really trying to implement in my own life. Assume that they like you. Assume that they care about you. I want you to date. Instead of assuming that you have to earn their interest and their attention, I want you to assume that you already have it. How would you act if you already knew that you had their interest and attention? Because when you start to behave in that way, you behave way more confidently, you behave way more in your worthiness, and that actually gives you the best chance for them to care about you. How many times have you heard somebody say, oh, I wasn't really sure about them at the beginning, and then we just kept hanging out, and they just kept showing up, and voila, you're there. And that's the truth. I think guy or girl, right? Like, if I just show that girl energy and consistency, you will change a lot of minds. You know what I'm saying? You could change a lot of minds by just showing up for somebody and assuming that they fuck with you. And here's the thing, is the worst case is what? They don't? Okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what, we got to get to this level. We got to get to the level of, all right, I'm going to show good ass energy and fucking vibe and do my thing. Pull up, dick on the table, wham, drop that bitch right there. Big dick energy, here I am. And if they don't like it, guess what? They're not going to pick the dick off the table and suck it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if they don't like it, they're not going to throw ketchup on it and they're just going to leave it. They're going to be like, why'd you fucking just send me an unsolicited dick pic? I'll be like, I'm sorry. You get what I'm saying? Like, first off, it's really not that deep. You know what I'm saying? Just put it back in your pants, zip it back up, go to the next person, whip the dick on the table. But that's the energy we need in 2025 is like, not like walk up to people and take your dick out. Like, that's crazy. Like, you can't be doing that. But you get what I'm saying? Metaphorically take your dick out every single time you meet somebody new. That's what I want you to do. I want you to visualize yourself unzipping, throwing it out, and just saying, you want it? Suck it. That's crazy. Okay, hopefully everybody understood that was a metaphor and it wasn't what I want you to do physically. Okay, let's keep it moving. This one's a good one. Ooh, this one's a good one. This one's a good one. Stick with me, baby. You could pair all new people to your ex or your exes. All these new people in your life, they're not good enough. But really, just the truth is this is just a defense mechanism to keep you hidden. How many people are coming out of a relationship and they just, you don't give anybody an actual chance. No one's fucking good enough. Oh, well, my ex, they don't fucking know you that well. Your ex knew you for X amount of time. You get what I'm saying? And you compare these people to your exes who also had their flaws, which you don't even really think about. Each new person brings a whole new set of values and energy, and that takes time to evaluate and see. And you sitting there comparing everybody to that person. And here's my thing though. I'm not saying that I don't want you to find somebody that's just as exciting to you, because I do think that that's very important. I do think it's really important that you find somebody that excites you as much as it does with maybe some of your previous partners. Because I have seen a lot of people that have gotten into relationships that are just Band-Aid relationships where they meet somebody new, but the entire time they do think about their ex. They do think about what was. And again, that's not fucking fair at all. Don't date those people. And to me, what it is you're not fully healed. You're not fully at the place where you're willing to give somebody an honest chance. And that to me takes own inner work. You got to figure that out. But if you catch yourself fucking comparing yourself, that's honestly what I do find too is like, I do think that you're afraid to get hurt again. I do think that you're afraid to truly open yourself up to a new possibility if you're constantly comparing people to your ex, because you have no idea what that relationship is going to bring you until you're actually in it. And how can you compare a new person to an ex? Because you've had time and experience with your ex. You know them well. They know you well. They know what makes you tick. Of course it's going to feel better with an ex or hanging out with an ex than it is a brand new person. I never understood that. People are like, well, I have more fun. Well, because they fucking know you so well. You've given them the time to get to know you. Like you get what I'm saying? You have that chemistry. You've built up that time together. So give somebody new a chance, right? Because first off, you deserve it for yourself to meet somebody that could actually meet your needs. I don't know why that person is your ex in the first place, but that's what it is too, is more than likely if you have an ex, they're an ex for a reason. They're an ex because they weren't able to meet your needs or they didn't want to be in your life, whatever it was. You deserve to find happiness. Stop preventing your happiness. And one of the last walls is you are highly critical of new people in general. So this is kind of piggybacking off of the ex thing, right? You hold on to these judgments as a way to protect your ego if things fall apart. That's what I think it really is. You're the type of person that, again, and this, I could even be listening to this and I need to take some feedback on this a little bit too, where, you look at a person and you grade them based on all the attributes that they are, right? Like as if it's a checkbox. Like their height, their weight, their attractiveness, their money, their status, their whatever it is. And what you do is you hold on to the negative aspects of that person. And if it doesn't work out, what do? Oh, well, they were broke anyways. Oh, well, he was short, so it doesn't really matter. I wouldn't have even cared. You're not actually being true and vulnerable and real. You're not giving people a real chance. If that's the way that you are, if everything is a fucking ick to you, if you can't see people for, the whole and the energy that they can provide to you, to be honest, you're going to be a very lonely person. And there's no one to blame besides yourself for that. But here's the thing too. I think it just takes a lot of self-awareness to recognize that it's a very weird thing, relationships. Like we talked about this at the beginning, where it's like there's a combination of, your values need to align. The things that you care about do need to align from an attribute perspective. But on the flip side of the coin, there's this like energy, or there's this like, how would I say it? This untangible feeling and energy that somebody can bring to your life that you can't put on a piece of paper, that isn't an attribute. I think of like some of my friends, and this is the way I relate it because I think it's the best way. Some of my friends, right? Maybe they aren't the richest people, or maybe they aren't the most attractive people, but I just know that when I'm around them, I feel good. They have this ability to just like brighten my day, or just by being around them or talking to them, they just make me feel like I belong. And I don't know what it is, but again, you miss out on that part of connection with people when you're just so highly critical of all the attributes. So many people, I think overlook some really great partners and some really great connections in our lives because of the egotistical things that person maybe doesn't fulfill. I truly believe that. You got to find that balance between, wanting somebody for, again, their status or their attractiveness and, again, them being intentional. And ideally you find both. Truly, really. We live in a world, and I that's the thing. I want somebody beautiful. I want somebody that I think really aligns with me, that is kicking some ass, that's a go-getter. But ultimately too, it's like, I also need the other side too. I need somebody that's really intentional and really wants to show up and really loves me and accepts me and loves me for who I am. Okay. But really, to summarize all of these things, what are all of these things? All of these things are fear. And they're fear that keeps you from taking action in your relationships. It keeps you from speaking up. It's the fear of rejection. It's the fear of abandonment. And it's the fear of not being good enough. Like, I don't need to tell you this, but you are good enough. We got to build that, right? Like the right person's not going to abandon you. And that's the thing too, is like rejection is just, corny as it sounds, fucking redirection. Rejection is redirection. I fucking hate people that say that shit. So corny, but it's real. It really is real, right? Because every single time that you fail, and this is anything in life, right? Any single time that you fail, you're actually getting closer to your goal. Every single time that Thomas Edison, who actually failed the most out of every inventor ever, every single time he made a light bulb and that shit didn't turn on and it blew up in his face or some shit. And he's like, fuck the fucking light bulb. It doesn't work. Well, at least he got one more light bulb closer to the one that actually works. And that's the way you need to look at all of this too, is every single relationship that doesn't work out for you, every single connection where you speak up and you are authentic and you're honest about your feelings that doesn't work out for you is pushing you to the connection that is going to work out for you. Stop thinking to yourself that you need to slow down in that regard. There is no option for you other than be authentic, take risks, do your best to speak the fuck up. And guess what? If somebody doesn't accept that or they don't like you, stop fearing the rejection of it and lean into the rejection of it. Lean into the fact that they're not your person. I'd rather know for certain. I'm done running away from connections instead of communicating. What's the point of that? What's the point of not picking up the phone and calling them and asking them, hey, what's good? Hey, you know what? I really like spending time with you. Do you like spending time with me? Because I would love to do that more. And again, what? Is it going to hurt your fucking little ego? It's going to hurt your ego? Oh, they don't like me. Okay, cool. Grow up. Throw some dirt on it. Okay? And I'm not saying don't grieve. You know what I'm saying? Lean into your emotions, baby. I was telling you to grow up. Don't do that. All right. Actually lean into your emotions, handle the disappointment. But that's the beauty of confidence. The beauty is if you can be able to tell yourself and show yourself that you can handle uncomfortable emotions and uncomfortable emotions such as disappointment, sadness, anger, frustration, and you can learn to cope and actually lean into those emotions. Guess what? You can do these things. You can put yourself in the face of rejection because all you'll do is you'll handle the disappointment and you'll move on. And guess what? Here's one of the takeaways for overcoming rejection is you need to consistently take risks, right? That helps you to desensitize yourself from the issue and overcome the fear. This is what we're talking about. Desensitize. How do we do that? We take risks. I'm telling you right now, you better get off this podcast after we are done, and whatever you have been holding on to with any of your relationships, send the text message, make the phone call, ask for what you need, ask for the relationship. Just do it. Do it today. Do it right now. What are you waiting for? Oh, well, I got to play it cool. Because they're not going to like me if I ask them to hang out today. If I ask them to hang out next week, then they're going to fall in love with me. Wrong. Just because that's what I'm trying to say. You could play the fucking game. You could play it. Go ahead, play the game. They're just going to ditch you later. And that's the one thing I wrote down too. Fear of rejection is a self-fulfilling prophecy. And think about this. If you are so scared of being rejected, what do you do? You play games. You match energy. You water yourself down. Do you not? You know what I'm saying? You stop being you. You stop showing up confidently like you got this shit in the bag. If you knew you had it in the bag, what would you be doing? Fucking texting, saying what up, doing your thing, popping in, dropping in. Yo, let's go on a date. 7:00, take you there. Get on the magic carpet, baby. I'll fucking fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to show up fucking full riz. But when you're scared and somebody puts you on your heels a little bit, then we go into what? Protection mode. Okay, I'm not going to send that voice note. I don't want to seem too clingy. I don't want to seem too much. Pussy. You're not a pussy. Actually, that was That was one of the things that we need to do to overcome this is this. Awareness and acceptance over this fear, right? You need to know when it's popping up. And you know when it's popping up when you feel that there is something that you want to express or you need to express and you're not doing it. Or you know that there's something that you want to do and you're not doing it. For an example, for a lot of people want to post on social media. They want to become an influencer or a fucking cook or a baker or some fucking weird shit. And instead of what is it? Fear of rejection, right? I don't want to post a video and look stupid. What if my cupcakes come out wrong? No one cares, dude. You know what I'm saying? This is my point is it's fear of rejection. Have awareness. Hey, I'm feeling scared right now. I'm feeling scared that people might not like this. Okay, awareness. Wow, great. Now that I've identified the fear, now I can overcome it. When you are aware of your fear, it is so much easier for you to take the action that you need to. But here's what typically happens is we want to do something, right? Such as, talk to some girl or whatever. And instead of just acknowledging the fact that we have a fear of rejection, we talk to ourselves negatively. You kind of look ugly right now. Your hair looks stupid. Somebody said, because I got a new haircut, somebody said I look like the guy from Dumb and Dumber. And I thought it was funny because it's real. I had a little bowl cut for a second. Okay, leave me alone. All right. But here's the thing. What's the beauty of me being online for so long is that I've gotten to this point in my life where I'm like, I don't care, bro. Some people are going to like my haircut. Some people are not going to like it. But the whole point is you can't talk to yourself that way. But really what happens is if you don't acknowledge the fear of what you want to do, a lot of the times what will happen is instead of, again, because you're not acknowledging it, what happens is you'll just have negative self-talk instead. Your brain will start going into all of the reasons why you are not good enough. Instead, what you should have just done the entire time is notice it as just a fear of you doing it. It's not that you're ugly. It's not that you're not good enough. It's not that your hair doesn't look good. It's not that your clothes don't fit right now. No, what it is you have a fear of rejection for talking to that person. That's what it is. Be aware of it. And then call it out. Write it down in your journal. Sometimes I'm doing that. I'm sitting in the coffee shop, like a cute girl will walk by, and I'll be like, oh, she's pretty cute. I was like, I'm going to say something. Yeah, I'm a little nervous right now, but I promised myself that if, I walk by her, I'm just going to say something. Okay, that's a lot better than, hey, Chris, you're fucking, you're not the coolest. You know what I'm saying? Or, you're ugly. No, we can't be doing that. So awareness and acceptance of our fear is massive. And again, calling it out and then taking the action and doing it anyway. Remember, take the risk. And one other side caveat I just want to make about the fear of rejection and the fear of abandonment. Fear of rejection is actually what keeps us in unhealthy relationships. If you are somebody that is unable to get out of relationships and unhealthy ones where you're not getting treated right, more than likely you also have a very strong fear of rejection. Because what it means is you don't believe that you can find better. Again, it's the feelings of not being good enough. It's the feelings of not wanting to be abandoned because your entire worthiness is based on that other person. It's not coming from you intrinsically. And this is why I'm telling you that I talked about it earlier, the cycle of being with these partners and them not treating you right and you unable to uphold boundaries is because you're unable to be honest and authentic about how you feel and what you really believe. And the reason you can't do that, again, is underlying feelings of not being good enough, but you have failed to set boundaries. You have failed to stick up for yourself. And more than likely what you do is you just use other relationships as a Band-Aid. What we really need to do is speak up. If you're in an unhealthy situation or you don't like what's going on, say something. Say something. But we're afraid to say something because then we don't want to lose the relationship because then I'd have to be alone. I'm telling you, being alone is not that bad. It's really not. Honestly, it's kind of tremendous once you get into it a little bit. Yes, some days are hard. Some days I wake up and I'm like, my ex. Or I wake up and I'm like, I've got nobody. But then I go downstairs and I'm like, you know what I'm saying? I take a shit, I take a shower. I'm like, you know what? It's not too bad. I put my music on. I start, making some breakfast, and then I write a little list of what I need to do during the day. I start dancing a little bit, and I'm like, you know what? Life's not too bad. No one's out here fucking nagging me. No one's narcissistic ass little daughter is talking shit to me, telling me that I'm an asshole. I could just be an asshole all I want all day long in my house. I'm just doing whatever I want, letting the thoughts come to me, doing whatever the fuck I want to do. Fuck you. Whoever those people are in my past, fuck you. I love you. My whole point is, it's not that bad to be alone. It's really not. Life, you know what? Life is very wonderful outside of a relationship, believe it or not. I know that sounds crazy, but there's more to life than just dating somebody. Oh, there really is. Like, you could do art, or you could build a business, or you could make some money, or you could do a home project. You could make a birdhouse. I'm going to make a birdhouse one day. There's so many things that you can do to have fun. It's not just reliant on that. Get some friends. Spend some time in other ways. My whole point is, we got to stop fearing shit. Nothing in this world. The biggest killer of anything in this world is fear. That's it. Fear of rejection, fear of not being good enough. Dude, make the artwork, post the video, do the thing, send the text message, make the phone call, take the risk. Because all you're going to do is get more information on what you need to do or to keep going. You get what I'm saying? For me, how do I become more successful online? I keep posting videos. I keep posting podcasts. Each one, I get better feedback, and they get better and they get better and they get better because I'm getting feedback. And guess what? I'm having fun and there's progress. But if you're sitting there in fear and stagnant in a shit relationship, or you're not taking risks with people because you're so scared of getting hurt, what are we doing? It's not, you're not even being fair to yourself. Other things that we need to do to overcome the fear of rejection. You got to let go of any previous guilt or past mistakes or past relationships and give yourself a fresh start. Can we start today where, like, you just let go of all the mistakes that you've made in relationships? Can we let go of the ex that we have on a pedestal in our mind? Can we let go of all the fuck ups we've made? Can we let go of just, again, everything up to this point? Can today you restart yourself and say, yo, today I'm going to start taking some risks for myself. I'm going to go to that gym, even though I'm scared to go to the gym. I'm going to post that video, even though I'm scared to post the video. I'm going to go walk up to that person, even though I'm scared to do it. I'm going to ask this person for fucking commitment because I fucking deserve it. Start today. And here's the thing. When we hold on to the guilt of not doing the things that we've wanted to do up to this point, we're just making it harder for us to take risks in the future. So that's what I'm trying to tell you is you got to accept yourself. You got to accept where you are in the journey. Guess what? I'll give you guys a good example. For a very long time, I've been on 1.1 million followers. I actually watched all of my old videos back, and I was really hot for like a year and a half. And then, for about a year or 2 years, floundering, still trying to figure out my voice. I see that I'm posting things for like the audience, and then I see myself, like, I could see myself transforming and wanting to do something different, but it just wasn't working out. My whole point is this. For the last year and a half, 2 years, it's been a struggle for me. It's been hard. The thing that I want the most in life, which is to be this really impactful, big creator, like, it feels like I've stalled. It feels like I've, quote unquote, and a lot of people say this when it comes to dating, wasted my time. But I have to accept the fact that I couldn't figure it out during this time. I have to accept every single day that goes by that I'm not where I want to be. I have to accept it. Because it's the only way that I'm going to get up and swing the bat again. It's the only way that I'm going to get up and try and try and try. And eventually I'm going to break through. And just like you are in your dating life, eventually you're going to break through. Eventually you're going to find that person that loves you and reciprocates the energy that you want. But you can't stop. You can't stop taking the risks. You can't stop trying. And again, you have to accept where you're at now. You got to accept that you haven't got it figured out. You have to accept if you haven't held your boundaries for 3 straight years. Yeah, I agree. Yes, you've made some mistakes, but let it go. Let it go. Start fresh. Accept it. It's the only way you're going to, again, have the confidence to move on. And this is, I think, the biggest thing. And this is what it really comes down to. Fear of rejection. Here's what it comes down to is you can't let every relationship and action define your sense of worth. That's what it comes down to, point blank. The person that you're dating right now is not your worthiness. You're whole without them, believe it or not. The person that you're trying to date, if they don't like you, it doesn't mean you're not worthy. It doesn't mean you're not lovable. It doesn't mean somebody else is not going to be like, wow, you're the coolest person I've ever fucking met in my entire life. But we let these single relationships or these actions, like we do it in a moment too, right? Like, oh, I'm going to go talk to this girl. I talk to this girl. She rejects the shit out of me. She slapped me in the face. You know what I'm saying? Let's say she shits on you, right? Bad. That doesn't mean you are ugly. It doesn't mean the next person is not going to give you their number. And that's what we do is we take a bad moment, we take a bad relationship, and we automatically equate it to us being bad. That's a bad emotional math, believe it or not, right? One bad video for Chris doesn't mean Chris is a bad creator. And how many times we do this? One bad relationship in your life doesn't mean you are bad at relationships. One rejection in your life, 10 rejections in your life, 100 rejections in your life doesn't mean you are not worthy. It doesn't mean that you are going to get rejected by the next person. You have to visualize it that way. You cannot keep telling yourself this story about, oh my God, well, things haven't worked out and I'm not that worthy. So, I hate dating. It's so shitty. I'm so shitty. Life is so shitty, right? It's like it escalates so fast. It is not about your worthiness when things don't work out. Which brings us to our next point. It's never that personal. It's never that personal. When somebody fucking rejects you in the street, they don't know you. When somebody rejects you after 2 months of talking and texting, they don't know your depth and your soul. They don't. Why are we taking it as that's who we are? All it's doing is preventing you from moving on and showing up worthy to the next situation. Because I can't tell you how many stories that I have specifically when it comes to dating where it's like this, where I gave you a perfect example. I had a coachee I still have her to this day. And she was really sad about her man who abandoned her, right? Now, the guy that abandoned her has been this guy that she's been talking to for a really long time. This guy that she's talking to for a very long time, when they first started talking, he didn't really want a relationship. And then eventually, you know what I'm saying? They broke up, right? So she meets this guy. She really likes him a lot. He doesn't want to be with her. And she and him break up, right? You guys are following. Very typical story. Come on, every fucking story is like this. And then what happens is this girl that I'm coaching meets a good guy, a guy that shows up for her, a guy that she feels aligned with, right? And they start dating. The old guy feels that from her and comes back into her life. And it's like, I love you. I miss you. I want to be with you. I fucked up. I need you. Guess what happens? You guys know this too. Girl breaks up with good guy and gets back with the old one. Now, it doesn't happen every time like that, but what happens? This is what goes down. And now let me get you to the end of the story, actually. Let's do it this way. So what ends up happening is this girl walks through my door. Why? Why does she walk through my door? Because the guy that she went back to, the guy that said he loved her and wanted her back, they date for another 6 months, actually another, I think longer than that, like a year or two, ends up abandoning her again, ends up leaving her in the dust. And then she's now sitting on my doorstep crying and sad because she feels abandoned. And this is what I told her, right? Here's the thing. I'm like, let me ask you this question. I was like, this first guy that you left, the good guy, right? That there's a guy that treated her right. She was like, honestly, like looking back at it, like he got engaged to another girl, whatever. She's like, I kind of fucked up by leaving him for the old guy because, you know, obviously this worked out now this way. But I said to her, I was like, think about the way that guy felt. What did you tell him in order to break up with him? I told him that I just wasn't ready for a relationship. or just something along those lines, right? Now think about this. Is that other guy, that's the nice guy, should he have taken that personally? Was it really about his effort? Was it really about his worthiness? No, it had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with this girl just getting back into an old pattern with this other person. It wasn't based on his good effort and his good energy. And that's what I turned around and I told her. I was like, listen, you showed up for this guy. You chose him. You showed up for him. It's not that personal. It probably has way more to do with the issues that he has going on, the unhealed parts of himself that he still hasn't figured out yet. And again, a lot of times in dating, this is what happens, is somebody rejects you and you make it about you not being good enough. But a lot of the times it's not like that. And half the time, more than half the time, the person's not going to tell you the real reason for leaving you. That's the thing, is the first guy does not know that she left because of the old guy. He just probably assumes, oh man, this girl just didn't really like me that much. Do you see what I'm saying? And we take dating so personal. But really a lot of the times is these people in their trajectory of their learning when it comes to relationships, their healing, their ability to be capable and ready for a relationship is not really there. And again, this girl that I'm coaching right now, for instance, she technically wasn't ready for something real because she was still chasing something that was a little bit more unavailable. You get what I'm saying? So the people that leave you and abandon you, or the people that reject you, and I'm not saying this every time, it just means that there's somebody else, but do you get what I'm saying? Whatever reasons that they have, it typically is not really about specifically just you. Your worthiness has nothing to do with that. Because the reality is there's probably somebody else that is actually ready for you. And that person is just not. And I guarantee you, this is why they always say, quote unquote, they always come back. Because the truth is when you let somebody leave and you accept their rejection and you level yourself up and you work on yourself and you continue to become the healed version and you don't stop for nobody, that's when you become the most attractive person. That's when you find the love that you want. That rejection is pushing you to lean more into yourself. So the biggest lesson that I think we're going to see here is this. Don't let the fear of rejection stop you from taking a risk with people. You never know how it's really going to work out, but you can for sure secure your needs by speaking up and expressing them and being authentic and taking the risk, and take the risk every single time. Take it every single time. And guess what? If it doesn't work out, accept it, move on, don't take it personal, and really try to build a strong sense of worthiness and sense of self. That is the key behind all of this. You need to have that rock solid foundation that you are okay, even in the face of rejection. That's what's going to make you unstoppable. And that's what's going to help you uphold boundaries and be authentic, is if you can show up in that way. Like I said, I want you to show up into every relationship like you got it in the fucking bag. But the only way you could really do that is if you truly believe that you are worthy despite anybody's rejection, despite anybody's opinion of you, and recognizing that, again, their opinion of you is not reality. All right. Well, great fucking podcast. I love you guys a lot. If you ever want to work with me, you know where to find me. This is what I help people do. I get you on your feet. I help you feeling more self-confident. We help you with your limiting beliefs, your fucking boundaries, your values, and we get you into something beautiful. And even if we don't get you into something beautiful right away, we get you to a place where you could feel good within yourself to be able to find that. You're going to have the tools, the equipment to be able to do that. All right. I'll talk to you guys soon. Love you guys a lot.